Hello student, today I'm going to discuss chapter 8, that is wind, storms and cyclones. So before discussing the content, let us start with the introduction. So air is all around us. We cannot see the air, however, we can feel the presence of air. So air is what? Air is colorless, odorless and tasteless. Odorless means it can not be smelled. So air is all around us, as you all know it. We cannot see the air, but we can feel the presence of air. So how can we feel the presence of air? When the air blows, we can feel it on our body, on the leaves of a tree, and so on. So when the air blows, we can feel it on our body, and when the air blows, the leaf also causes movement. So by that we can know that yes, the air is blowing, and so on. So in fact, the earth is surrounded by a cover of air called the atmosphere. So our earth is surrounded by a cover of air, and we call that surrounding as atmosphere. And as you all know, the moving air is known as wind. So what is an atmosphere? You've already known that an atmosphere is a blanket of air under which we are surrounded by. So what are the constituents of an atmosphere? The cover of air surrounding the earth is called atmosphere. The cover of the air surrounding the earth is called atmosphere. It extends from the earth surface to about 1000 kilometer. From the surface of the earth to about 1000 kilometer, you will find the atmosphere. So 99% of the atmospheric air is present within the 40 kilometer radius from the earth's surface. So 99% of the atmospheric air is present from the earth's surface, and it is present up to an extent of 40 kilometer from the earth's surface. So what are the layers of the atmosphere? The main layers of the atmosphere are: number 1, troposphere; number 2, stratosphere; number 3, mesosphere; and number 4, thermosphere. So student, till now what have we learnt about? We have learnt about atmosphere, we have learnt about the radius of the atmosphere from the earth's surface, and then we are talking about the main layers of the atmosphere. So we will discuss about every layers in detail. So let us start with the troposphere first. So what is this troposphere? It is the lowest layer of the atmosphere. This troposphere, it is the lowest layer of the atmosphere. What does it contain, or what does it consist of? What is it consist? It mainly consists of nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide and water. So the main constituent of the troposphere is nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide and water vapor. If I talk about the percentage of it, then the percentage of nitrogen in the troposphere is 78.1%, the percentage of oxygen is 20.9%, and the percentage of carbon dioxide is about 0.03%. So cloud, rain and snow are seen in troposphere. We can see these clouds, rain and snow in this troposphere. So thickness of the troposphere, it changes from about 8 kilometer over the poles and to about 16 kilometer over the equator. So cloud, rain and snow are seen in this troposphere, as I've already said you. Then now let us proceed to the next content, that is stratosphere. So the layer of the earth above the troposphere. Now as I've said you, the troposphere is the lower layer of the atmosphere. After this troposphere you will find one more layer, that is stratosphere. The layer of the earth above troposphere up to a height of about 50 kilometers is called stratosphere. That means the layer just above the troposphere is known as stratosphere. Okay, so there is very little water vapor in this layer. It is not like troposphere. In stratosphere, there is a very little content of water vapor in this layer. The temperature of stratosphere is higher than that of troposphere. Basically, troposphere is the portion where we are residing. Now, above troposphere, there is stratosphere. So, the temperature of stratosphere is not like that of troposphere. The temperature of stratosphere is higher than that of troposphere. And the ozone layer lies in the central zone of the stratosphere. So, The temperature of, as now let us discuss about this temperature of the stratosphere again. The temperature of the stratosphere is higher than that of troposphere and remains nearly constant up to a height of 20 kilometers. So up to a height of 25 kilometers, sorry, it's not 20 kilometers, it's 25 kilometers. Up to a height of 25 kilometers, you will find a constant temperature in this stratosphere. So ozone layer lies in the central zone of the stratosphere. So ozone layer, so what is the work of the ozone layer? What is the use of the ozone layer? Basically, whenever you hear any topic of global warming, then you will find one common term, that is ozone. So what is ozone? It is a compound of oxygen only. And what is the work of this ozone layer? It protects us from, or it protects every living organism from the harmful ultraviolet radiations from the sun. So that is the and ozone is a protective layer, and this ozone is present in the stratosphere. Now let us proceed on to the next part, that is mesosphere. So mesosphere, it extends from a height of 50 km to 80 km. That means from a height of 50 km to 80 km, you will find one more layer of the atmosphere, that is mesosphere. So in this layer, air is very thin and the temperature falls to about minus 85 degrees Celsius at a height of about 80 km from the earth. So in this particular layer of the atmosphere, the temperature falls to minus 85 degrees Celsius. The air is very thin. That means it is not at all suitable for us in the mesosphere. So after mesosphere, let us discuss about the thermosphere. So this thermosphere, it lies above the mesosphere. Right above the mesosphere, you will find this thermosphere. So in this thermosphere, the temperature increases with the increase in altitude. In this thermosphere, the temperature increases with the increase in altitude. So dear student, we have read about the layers of the atmosphere. What were the layers of the atmosphere? At first we read about the troposphere. Then we talked about stratosphere. After that we discussed about mesosphere, and then we discussed about the thermosphere. To keep this thing in mind, the atmosphere is divided into four layers. First one is troposphere, second one is stratosphere, third one is mesosphere, and the fourth one is thermosphere. Then after this, our next topic is atmospheric pressure. Okay, so what is this atmospheric pressure? The definition of atmospheric pressure is the pressure exerted by the air at any point on the earth is called atmospheric pressure at that point. So what is atmospheric pressure? It is the pressure exerted by the earth on the earth. Okay, so atmospheric pressure is the pressure exerted by the air at any point on the earth. So every object on the earth is pressed by a pressure equal to the weight acting on one unit area. So this atmospheric pressure, okay, this atmospheric pressure, this is influenced by the weight acting on a particular area. That means with the increase of if the increase of the weight of a particular thing, the atmospheric pressure also increases. So the earth is surrounded by a thick cover of air called atmosphere. We all live under this sea of air. Air exerts force on the earth due to its weight. Now air, since air is also a matter, you have read about matter in class 5. What is matter? Matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. Since air has a mass and air occupies space, so air is also a matter. Okay. Now air exerts force on the earth due to its weight. As a result, every object on the earth is pressed by a pressure equal to the weight of the air acting on one unit area. So every object on the earth is pressed by a pressure equal to the weight of air acting on one unit area. So the pressure exerted by the air at any point on the earth is called atmospheric pressure at that point. The next one is what causes air pressure. The earth is completely surrounded by air. The gravity pulls the molecules of air and other atmospheric gases downward towards the ground. Now, let me ask you a question. Where do we live? Do we live inside the earth or do we live on the surface of the earth? We do not live inside the earth. Instead, we live on the surface of the earth. So if we are living on the surface of the earth, then why aren't we falling from the earth? It is because of a kind of force which is binding us to the earth, and that force is known as gravitational force. And that gravitational force is arising from the gravity itself. So gravity pulls every object toward itself. Okay. So the earth is surrounded by air. The gravity pulls the molecules of air. So as I have said you, gravity pulls everything towards itself. So since the air is surrounding the earth, the air is also pulled by the gravity and other atmospheric. So this gravity even pulls the other atmospheric gases downward towards the ground. The upper layer of the atmosphere rest on the lower layer. So thus exerting pressure on the surface of the earth. So the upper layer of the atmosphere, it rests on the lower layer, thus exerting an air pressure on the surface of the earth. So dear student, today I will add my explanation up to this. In my next explanation I will be discussing further more topics of this particular chapter. So it will be my request that whatever you have seen from this particular video, you please write all those particular notes in your copy, and in the next topic, in the next class, I will be explaining the further portions of this chapter. Thank you.